I'll take this one. Mokinda, Omaka. How are you today? Good. I have been looking forward to this session. We are going to talk a little bit about coffee and milk, of course. And usually in the morning before I go to work, I make myself at home 2 cups of coffee. It's my way of waking up. So can I have a cup of coffee, please? I have 2 baristas there. Come on, can you make a cup for me, please? Thank you. I'd like to have 1 espresso, double espresso. Yes, today. Come. Yes. So this is my routine in the morning. Maybe I go in a coffee bar and I ask the barista to make me espresso. And usually it takes like 50 seconds to make an espresso. Let's see how long time they take, these 2 guys. Because this is the reality when you step into a coffee bar. You have baristas working behind the bar, and sometimes it takes more than 25 minutes to get a coffee. Maybe sometimes it takes 30 minutes because you have to add in milk, and maybe it takes a little bit longer because you have to make a very nice latte art. So, is it ready? Can I have it mine? So this is called customer service. Yeah? Because I didn't know it was ready, so it could be standing there, getting cold, losing all the flavors. And if you make latte art on the top, that could vanish, so it didn't look appealing. Because when I pay $3 or $4 or $5 for a cup of coffee, it has to look appealing. So, how does that happen? I'll just taste it first. Well, it's really nice coffee. It's my own coffee. It's my coffee. It's an anaerobic processed bourbon variety, and it's grown in El Salvador at 1450 meters, and it has a kind of a chocolatey, peach, melon taste. The tactile mouthfeel is creamy, silky, long aftertaste, low acidity, medium bitterness, and very nice long sweetness. So yesterday, or day before yesterday, I went to a coffee bar here in Milan. I'm not going to name drop which coffee bar it is. I went to a computer, I ordered my coffee, and they were so busy, this coffee bar. They didn't even know who I was. Of course, I didn't expect that. But they didn't tell me which coffee it was. It was like a machine, you know, like no service, no looking you in your eyes. Hello, sir, how are you today? Would you like a coffee? No, it's just like a money machine. No interaction from the barista, standing there with a really nice set of machines, not knowing what they were doing. They were not even making latte art because it was so fast. What they were doing, that they didn't have time to make latte art. What kind of a machine is that? You put a robot instead. It's much better. It's much cheaper. You don't have to educate the staff. You don't have to educate the barista. So it's just putting up a robot instead, because it's just a machine. I went there thinking that, wow, is that how the industry is going to be presented? Since 2007, I have been trying to help lifting up the industry with coffee. And now it's like being a robot, you know, like earning money. But we live in a service industry, hospitality industry. We know that as a chef, as a cook, if you are going into a restaurant, the waiter, he explains to you, what is this coffee, or what is this meal that you are eating, or you're taking in your mouth. But here, it's just a machine. And the baristas, they are all of them, you know, they look so arrogant, they look so, you know, like sophisticated, but they don't even know what they're doing. So I went to ask, or I didn't go to ask, I asked my colleague to ask, where's the coffee from? Oh, it's 100% Arabica. Yes, thank you very much. And so what? I hope it's not Robusta. But do you know what I mean? Have you got that feeling yourself? Do you go to a coffee bar? Do you ask the barista where the coffee's from? Because this is the fact when we have a high growing industry like what we have now. The demands on what we serve is so high now that when you are operating a coffee bar and you want to serve coffee, nowadays people, they want to know which country it's from, where is it grown, which varietal is it, and how is it roasted. Is it a light, medium or dark roast? Or how is it going to taste? So if you cannot present that when you serve your coffee, you're not a very good coffee operator. We have a chef sitting here. When you make a meal, do you present what is on the plate? Of course you do. But we also need to do that as a barista. So when we make coffee nowadays, do you know which coffee is the most expensive coffee nowadays? How much it costs per kilo? $12,000 per kilo. In Dubai, one cup is $270 for one cup of coffee. $270. Would you pay that for the coffee? I would. If it tastes good. But would you pay $5 for a coffee which tastes bad? Yes, you do that. You don't even ask a question. You're just standing in the bar, operating, and you're just standing in the bar and you're tasting the coffee. You don't know even which coffee you are tasting. Because it's nice. You put it on Instagram, you put it on social media, everything is nice. But you don't even know what you're drinking. You don't know where it's from. You don't know what varietal is. Do you know what I mean? Do you get the point? So, I think now in the United States, the fast growing industry in the world is the coffee business. Because people, they start to experience that if you are a good barista and a skilled barista and you're a good roaster, you can actually manage to have a good coffee bar. So the reason why I'm standing here today is because we are launching this new product with Arla, the 3.0 UHT milk. I've been working together with Arla now since 2007. So when I became the second one in the world at the World Barista Latte Art Championship, I actually approached Arla and asked them, can I test your milk? And they asked me why. I said, because, you know, when I compete, the judges, they ask me, this silkiness, this viscosity, this mouthfeel, how does that appear? And I was asking questions to people. Do you know why it's so silky? Do you know why it's so appealing? Do you know why the mouthfeel is like this? So I started to test 6 different milk together with coffee. Now, 3 years ago, I tested 49 different milk with coffee. 49 milks from all over the world. Over 5 days, I tasted and I drank 192 cappuccinos to see which milk is the best one for my coffee. And that's a lot. You do that as a chef as well. You try to do the very best so the food you make has a harmony. So I want to create the harmony also with my espresso, and my milk. So that's really, really, really important. So I discovered that there was some tendencies with my coffee and my milk and why Arla is so good. Of course, I tested all the competitors, not from Arla, but other products, milk. And the only one which was consistent over time was Arla. And I'm not just standing here because I'm getting paid to say this, because when I compete at the World Championship, which I have done so many times, the judges, they don't ask me, are you from Arla? No, I want to present the best what is in the cup. So to present the best, you have to know what is the best, what is the most consistent. Because if you cannot deliver consistency over year, 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 if you cannot deliver that, then you're not a good hospitality manager, are you? So if one day you make a very nice dish and the other day is not good, it's not consistency. So the important thing is that when you do something with your hands and you want to present something, you have to have a reliable partner, which means that have to be consistently. So, for example, we have a lot of milk dairies in Denmark because we are a cow land. So I can get fresh milk all the time, but not all the milks which are organic and are nice is good. They are probably very inconsistent because the milk from the cow going from grass or in the stable, maybe it's inconsistent. So for me it's important to have a product when the customer comes in, they get the same quality every day. Because if they get the same quality, they return. But it's not the same bad quality, it's the good quality. So of course I have to raise the level to tell people what I'm trying to serve them. Do you agree? Do you know which coffee it is?
No, actually.
Does it taste nice?
It's okay.
It's okay? It's okay, or is it more than okay?
It's okay for me.
It's okay for you? Okay. So, can you please tell me, how should your coffee taste like?
Sorry, how do I like my coffee?
Yes.
Well, the last one that I had, it was a civet coffee, which is quite smooth. I like it with a bit of milk, not too sweet. So I usually like mixing it on my own.
You're mixing on your own?
Yeah,
Yes.
I like doing it with a press at home, before leaving for work. But
Yeah.
I don't really like buying coffee outside sometimes because you make it too sweet. So I like doing it on my own.
What's the temperature of the water you use?
Oh, I have no idea.
You are a chef.
I just use at home it's just,
You boil the water and you put the water
it's
in.
just a kettle.
You don't
But
put
in
it.
school, we have the proper coffee machine, but at home it's just a kettle.
Okay. Okay. I'm challenging you now.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you brew a coffee at home, what is the temperature of the water? You don't make coffee. You don't know the temperature. 98.5% of what you drink is water inside the coffee. And if you don't know the temperature of when you brew the coffee, then how do you know if it should taste good? So this is the reality of when we drink coffee. This coffee is okay for me, but why start the day with a bad coffee, which is just okay for me? Why not start the day with a coffee which is excellent? Huh? We live such a short life, and we start with a coffee with a bad day, and then everything is just very bad. So, as a chef, I'm always trying to challenge them because they know everything about molecular gastronomy. They know everything about temperatures. But when it's for coffee, sorry, you're not the only one. They don't know anything. Did you know that the temperature when you brew a coffee have to be between 91.5 to 95.5 degrees? In Melbourne 2022, when I competed, I was brewing my coffee on 91.5 in Denmark. But when I went to Melbourne, I adjusted the machine to 90.5. It's 1 degree. And that made the coffee taste much more sweeter than in Denmark. So I had to adjust it 1 degree. 1 degree! That's a lot. Or that's a small thing. But it made such a big impact on my coffee. What temperature do we need to, when we make our milk, steam the milk at? Do you know that? The temperature of the milk? Is it hot, warm or cold? Do we steam it so we burn our hands, or do we steam it so we taste all the flavors of the coffee? See, these are questions which I always ask the baristas, but they usually don't know. Nowadays, at the championships, we steam the milk at 50 degrees. And then there are some customers, they come back and say, this is cold. No, it's not cold, but it has the right tactile mouthfeel which I am looking for in my coffee. So it's not cold. Maybe you can drink it in one sip, and so what? I don't serve you the coffee to warm your hands. I serve you the coffee to taste my coffee. So maybe when you start to make a coffee and from one step to another, before we steam the milk for 65 degrees, nowadays we steam the milk to 50 degrees because we know, also as a chef, we know that everything we put in our mouth, the right temperature have to be between 50 and 55 degrees. That's where we have the really, really nice mouthfeel of everything we taste. That's where the taste balance is very good. Isn't that right? The same with coffee. It's no difference. So when we operate our machine, you see the first step, which I'm doing here, is to flush out. So why am I flushing out? Because there's dirty coffee sitting up here. So I need to flush out. But very often when I go in the coffee bar, they don't have time for that. So they just do the next coffee. So it's taking like a filter. You know, like then you take out the grounds and then you take on the new coffee inside the filter. You don't do that. Next thing is, can I have a barista please? Did you see what he did? Stop. What did he do? He cleaned the filter. In Italy, when you visit a coffee bar in Italy, they don't even bother to clean the filter because there's an old culture, or there's a word saying you don't need to clean the filter because the taste of the old coffee has to be in there. What kind of a crap is that? I mean, that's so stupid. I mean, you don't want to... No, I'm not going to say that. So, in 2011, I had a call from the Italian Barista Champion, asked me, can you please train me, Soren, for my Italian Barista Championship? I said, yes, of course. So I fly to Milan. So I said to this guy, can you make me an espresso? Yes. So this guy, he makes me an espresso. I'm just trying to explain to you what my culture is like. I will get to the middle part afterwards, don't worry about that. Yes? Yes? You see now what's happening now? It's not actually performing as I want to, but now it's coming now. It's better. Yes. This one took 32 seconds, almost 33 seconds. That's a long extraction. It means when you have a contact time with coffee and water, that's a long extraction. And so what? Does it taste good? I don't know. I will try. It tastes perfect. Why is that? Because the quality of the coffee is a top quality. It means if you actually brew this on 25 seconds or 28, it will still be good. It will still be acceptable. But if you start to mix your coffee beans with bad qualities, if you brew it on 25 seconds and afterwards brew it on 26 seconds, it will be bad. Because it's so fragile. Because good qualities is easier to handle. So the quality of the coffee maybe is more expensive, but at least it's good even though you brew it on 32 seconds or 25 seconds. Of course, you know, I'm a skilled barista, so I adjust my grinder so it's more nice tactile mouthfeel, because this is a Bourbon variety, and Bourbon have to be a little bit dry but sweet at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to adjust towards. So going back to the Italian guy, I went down there, I fly, and I tell him, can you make me an espresso? Yes. So he made me an espresso. 25 seconds, he stopped the machine. And 1 ounce of coffee. So I said to him, okay, what are you doing? Yeah, but Soren, I'm making you an espresso. Yes, that's fine. But why you stop on 25 seconds? I said, yeah, but Soren, this is what we do in Italy. Yeah, but you called me, I'm from Denmark. I'm not Italian. So can you please make me an espresso on 24 seconds with 18.5 grams? Yeah, but Soren, you know. No, I don't know. Do you want to be a world-class barista, or do you want to be an Italian barista who doesn't know what you're doing? And you know, Italy, they are really stubborn. They know what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing. They invented the espresso machine, then everything stopped. Everyone thinks that coffee comes from Italy. It's the best thing. They might roast in Italy, but coffee doesn't grow in Italy. It grows in Latin America, or even here, the Philippines, or in Indonesia, or in Australia. But coffee doesn't grow in Italy. So we had a lot of argues, and I told him, if you want to be a world champion, you have to adjust your grinder. You have to understand how to adjust your grinder so you get the right tactile mouthfeel in your coffee. So I trained him for 2 months, and once again he won his Italian Barista Championship. That was the second time he won. So I took him to the World Championship, but unfortunately he didn't want to change his speech, because he had trained his mentality to say something like a robot, so he didn't want to change, so he ended up like a number 22 in the world. So the guy from the Italian organization, he came to me, the chairman said to me, Soren, what can we do? What can we do? I said to him, you know what you can do? You can drop this Italian shit and become a barista, because you're not a barista. You are Italian and you think you're the best in the world. I'm sorry, you're not. But if you want to be the best in the world, you have to understand how that machine works together with your coffee. Do you get my point? Yeah. So what I mean is that, going back to that kind of a robot attitude, when we make coffee, you really have to understand how to adjust the taste and the experience so the customer gets that experience in the mouth, because that's very important. I just want to show you a slide. So, this one, for example, can you start this? If you pay attention to this one, when I talk about tactile mouthfeel, it's not working. Is the Wi-Fi always so bad here in Philippines?
Yes.
Yes. I was in the airport for 2 hours trying to fill out this health form, and the Wi-Fi went off and on all the time. If I had hair, I would have taken it off.
Welcome to the Philippines.
Yes. But at least you were having a happy smile, huh?